Americans are drowning in debt while the economy implodes, guys. What is going on, folks? We're going to get straight to the point here. So there's a lot of Americans out there with poor cash flow who now owe more on credit cards compared to their savings.
Now, I remember during the pandemic, we were talking about how people had been squirreling away money because they weren't out spending it on travel or eating out and things like that.
Yeah, I thought we were doing better with this
We
stuff.
were, but apparently the level of debt Americans are in post-pandemic is somewhat concerning.
It's up to a record high. So you're right.
Really?
For a while, it fell. From Q4 of 2019 to Q1 of 2021, credit card balances fell 17%, according to the New York Fed. That was a dramatic drop, really fueled by stimulus and the fact that people were spending less. Since then, though, it's been really a straight line up. And right now, credit card balances are at records. We're seeing more people carrying debt, and we're seeing interest rates at record highs. So I think this just calls to importance the need to pay it off.
Well, I told you we were going to get straight to the point. So think about this. 36% of Americans now have more debt than emergency savings. So at what point do we just stop and say, hey, wait a second. I thought we lived in the first world country. Like, what's going on here? Think of it this way. The American dream, right? We're supposed to be limitless, the greatest nation this world ever saw. And now we have folks who don't even have $400 for an emergency.
Reporting that debt surged by $394 billion in the fourth quarter. That is the largest increase in 2 decades. Breaking it down, mortgages up a strong $254 billion. Credit cards up $61 billion, the largest quarterly increase in the history of the survey going back to 1999. Auto loans up and student loans as well. Now, as far as delinquencies, they did tick up for credit cards, auto loans, and mortgages, but the rate or the level remains at or below the pre-pandemic level. Trouble is the transition into them. There have been some worrying increases into the transition of delinquency rates. So a blog by the New York Fed that accompanied this report says credit card borrowers are missing their payments and transitioning to 90-plus day delinquency at a rate higher than they had before the pandemic. Guys, all we can do is watch this. We don't know how much stress there is, but certainly there is some increasing reliance by households on debt. Plus, you have the higher interest rates, and that's part of the reason why mortgage total balances may be going up.
That's a long drop from the top. Something that's not dropping is the price of, well, everything. Isn't that ironic? So this has caused ripples in different markets. I'm not talking tsunamis yet, but those will come later. But for now, look at what's happening. Within the second quarter of this year, we're already seeing truck freight volume and spending slow down. So yeah, this is totally legit, and it's coming from the US Bank Freight Payment Index. We're seeing shippers spend less, a drop of almost 11% compared to last year. And of course, this is a domino effect, and they just toppled the volume of shipping by at least 9%. It's common sense, folks. This is cause and effect. And if somebody's telling you that the numbers lie, well, then you need to talk to other people who actually know what they're actually talking about. And hey, that's me. So make sure you subscribe, and I totally appreciate if you guys would smash the like button for the video. Just want to thank you guys in advance for that. But anyway, now let's go ahead and get back to this whole trucking deal, right? Now, I have all the respect in the world for these truckers, because if they weren't around, we probably wouldn't have food in our refrigerator. Heck, we might not even be watching this show right now. But think about it. Most things move in a truck. And when I say things, I'm basically talking about goods that you and I basically take for granted on a daily basis because we're not aware of how they actually move at times, right? Now I'm talking food, clothes, this shirt for sure, the camera that I'm using, even this microphone that I'm holding, because some truckers move electronic devices. Now, even with all of that and us realizing how important they are, truckers are not safe from this. I don't even know what to call our economy anymore, but let's just say that it's a highly volatile economy where things usually point down.
15,000 trucking companies, many of them solo drivers like Barron, have had to shut down since October.
Maybe they'd been a company driver before, they went out, buy a truck, trailer, get their own authority. We've seen them park that, come back to companies, just in an effort to make ends meet.
For drivers, making ends meet also means contending with the costs of the road.
This is a direct effect of inflation, folks. I can't even sugarcoat it. It's bad out there. But hey, I want you guys to be fully aware of how bad it is, because you do your own groceries, you pump your gas, you pay for the rent or your mortgage. You, of all people, you get it. Y'all know what I'm saying. But you would also know that there are more Americans that are focusing on necessities, and this is why Bob Costello, the senior vice president and chief economist for the American Trucking Associations, this is why he says that trucking is in a slowdown. Consumers aren't buying as much stuff. stuff. They're not buying as much goods. And with the whole slowdown in both manufacturing and housing, well, you can pretty much tell for yourself that this is a recipe for disaster. Definitely a collapse. Which is why I try to encourage people to prepare, all right? I'm not saying like it's happening today or tomorrow or in a week's time. I'm not saying that. This is definitely going to happen gradually, but you're going to see it. Kind of like how grocery items are still gradually becoming more and more expensive, and nobody can say that that's not true. But, and here's what I find humorous and annoying at the same time. We're going to be told that food inflation has gone down compared to last year. But is it really easier for us? Or is that just the narrative that we've been provided? It's easy to see just how desperate people are now, and heck, it's happening all over the country in different states and cities. I mean, I haven't even told you what it is, and I'm pretty sure you guys already have an idea as to what I'm talking about, right? You know what? Have the word on your mind right now. You got it? It's crime.
Smash and grab. Thief bursting into an Irvine jewelry store right here, bursting open the display cases, making off with nearly $1 million in merchandise. Orange County reporter David Gonzalez has more.
I'm numb. I am absolutely numb trying to figure out, okay, what's our next step?
It took only 60 seconds for Alan's life and decades of hard work to come crashing down.
I do all the jewelry. And all the stuff that was in the showcase is my own pieces, and it's just everything disappeared.
Surveillance cameras caught 3 suspects on Monday rush into his Jewels by Alan store in Irvine around 12:30 p.m.
This idea of coming and hitting us at this time is so brazen. You would think that they would come when it's not crowded.
Like 12:30 noon? Seriously? Like, where's the fear? Where's the, that feeling like where you don't want to do anything wrong because there's consequences? I know people who are anxious to go in and out of a store without buying anything because they kind of feel like they might be mistaken for a shoplifter. But having hammers ready at noon to smash and grab almost $1 million in jewelry, that's insane. But sadly, this is exactly what happens when you don't hold people accountable. They'll just do whatever the flip they want to do, and me and you, we have to deal with the consequences. Now, we already know that retailers are hiking up prices due to shoplifters, and they're passing their losses on to us. Either that or they're closing up shop. Orange County is no stranger to crime, though. I think it was just a few months ago when almost 150 people were charged in home invasion robberies, which included smash and grab burglaries.
3 guys are leaving our house right now.
A series of residential and commercial burglaries throughout Orange County highlight the growing threat and the ongoing legal operation to curb such incidents, like this smash and grab robbery that happened at a Tustin jewelry store last year. The masked suspects seen pointing their weapons.
Put yourself in the place of the people that were sitting and hiding behind the counters, sitting on the ground praying, and having a gun shoved in your face, not knowing if you're going to live from minute to minute.
On Wednesday, OC prosecutors and law enforcement announced charges brought against 140 defendants over the last 9 months, linking many of the cases together, some repeat offenders.
This includes 24 defendants in 5 burglary crews who are charged now by our office just in the last 2 weeks.
Some of the suspects part of a Chilean burglary crew. Another case showed suspected robbers posing with a safe they had allegedly just stolen from a home in Brea.
They've shown a blatant disregard for the sanctity of personal property and the safety of our respective communities.
It makes you feel as if we're in a lawless country. But what do you guys think? Are we now in economic recovery as what we're being told by some of the mainstream media news outlets? Or does it feel just a little bit, does it feel like we're taking a turn for the worse? I want you guys to decide which of the two applies to what's happening around us. Now, before I go, I just want to thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I appreciate that. Thanks for dropping likes and for subscribing to the channel. And I'll see you guys on the next one.